let's just do it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That was good.
All right. So thank you everyone for attending.
But you
This
guys
is-
pull a chair and come back up
you
here and
guys
sit with
can
us.
come to the table
Come on,
if you
John.
want.
Grab
So
one of
you-
them chairs right there, Joe.
Right by,
Down
oh,
there.
there's one over there too.
Just take this one.
There you go.
Oh, yeah. There you
So
go. That's
Priscilla was nice enough to remind,
so that everybody can see your face.
You see enough of that, I think.
Priscilla was nice enough to remind the planning board a couple of weeks ago that we should be starting the CIP process again. So this shouldn't be a once every 5-year deal. It should be an annual thing, which we kind of revised or reintroduced last year. And so this meeting is literally just a kickoff meeting to talk about that process and what we need to do this year to get through it again. And hopefully it's an easier process this year because people are familiar and remember what they did and what they planned for in 2018 for 2019 and forward. And what the hope is, I think, is we've got a couple of people that have done this in the past, right? Like you've been on this, Denny's been on it, Howie is part of this, but he couldn't make it tonight. And I think your hope is that you can sort of roll this off into some other folks, and that at some point soon you can let other people take over, and you wouldn't necessarily be tasked to do the heavy lifting.
Maybe and maybe not.
Okay.
You're gonna see this form that I'm gonna send out here.
Okay.
But I think it's important to note that Denny and Howie have been very important to our
Absolutely.
capital
Budget process, and sure, yeah.
Really been helpful.
Um,
Don't talk him out of.
Oh, well, I don't know, that was the
That's what I
indication I
said, so
got,
that we could
yeah.
eventually just kind of fade away, bring in new people.
We spent a long time trying to come up with a form that's gonna be useful to everybody. The one thing you're gonna see is I should have put a date on it, because every time we produce it, the numbers are gonna change. This is kind of like a living document. It changes literally every single day.
I got another one.
If you look over on the left-hand side, you're gonna see the current, if it's CR, that means it's a current capital reserve. And in red is the money that we have invested. And if we spend the money that month, it gets reduced. If we don't spend it, it's gonna be higher because we're getting interest income on it. So those numbers change literally every single day, okay? Underneath that, you're going to see the results of our CIP in green, and that's when we went around and talked to everybody. We asked them what they thought they were going to need in the next fiscal year. So we did this in 2018 budget season, and you'll see windows replacement for the town hall, 47,000, office configuration, 30,000. And we have the departments listed as you go through it. You have Parks and Rec, dugout, assessment.
Denny, can I just ask you,
Yeah.
the CIP office refiguration, what
That
building is that town
30
hall?
That's town hall,
Okay.
absolutely. So, again, if you just kind of page through it, you're gonna see what the current in red against what the current CIP, capital reserve is, and then you're gonna see what the department had requested. And again, this year, it's gonna say 2019, and the numbers are gonna change, or it's gonna be revised to show the current request from each department head. Is there any questions on the form? Just page through it for a minute and tell me if there's any questions on the format. Because this, what I'm trying to do, because I sat as a selectman for a while, I've been on the budget committee, I've been a trustee of the trust fund, and what I'm trying to do is bring all these documents together in one piece of paper, so when the selectmen sit down to do the budget, They're going to see how much money they have in the current reserves and what the department heads have requested from the CIP for the upcoming year.
Now, when you say requested, does that mean that they're asking for the full amount, or these are their wishful
That's the wish,
wishing?
that's the wish list.
These are the wish list,
That's
and that's
what-
in green.
That's what they've asked the CIP for. Now, there's another thing, and this is a sensitive item, and I'm going to tell you right now, there's 3 of us on the CIP that have probably had 30 years in total service on budget, CIP, and the rest of it. We had an issue with the school board last year, and the issue was that they wanted to put in an item for a new roof. This is a 5-year plan, it's not a 35-year plan. If we think we're going to spend the money in the next 5 years, our recommendation is we're going to put it in the CIP. If we're starting to save money 30 years out for a new roof, we're not putting it in here. Pure and simple. And it's up to us whether or not we put it in. That's our charge, is to develop the CIP. Now, if this group doesn't agree with that, and you tell us we have to put everything in that everybody asked for, I'm not going to serve on this anymore. That's my discretion, is to determine, and I got enough experience to determine what should go in here and what shouldn't go in here. And if somebody says I got to replace a roof in 35 years, then I got to put every building in town on this damn thing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So what we're saying is, if we see something that we need in the next 5 years, it's going to be here. If it doesn't meet that qualification, you're not going to see it. Okay?
Makes sense.
Okay.
So in 2019, that's July, is that calendar year, or is that?
That's a calendar year, because it's a town calendar year, which doesn't really start until after the election.
Right.
So, and that's the moving target all the time, is that, for instance, as soon as we have the town meeting, if some of these, like the CIP, if they're a warrant article, then they're going to become a CIP. I mean, a capital reserve. Until then, it's a request on a wish list. If the selectmen look at it and they say, yeah, we got to put new windows in, and we're going to put a capital reserve together, and we're going to put money in it, it wouldn't show up as green anymore, it'd show up as black, and then we'd have money put away in it.
Okay.
Very good.
So like on the feasibility study, multi-generational center, the request was for $10,000, and the estimated cost was $10,000, and it was put in the 2019 column. So does that mean that last year we voted to, that was near term enough, so it ought to go in the 2019? That was the recommendation to the select board.
Yeah. Now, what happens is, if we put it in the CIP, and last year, quite frankly, we didn't have this done in time to present it to the selectmen, and that was one of them. And we were working on it, but the timing is such, we have to have this done before they have their first budget meeting. Okay? And when they have their first budget meeting, and they're getting the recommendations from the department head, the other thing selectmen are gonna have to look at is saying, what does the department head want? And do we agree with it, or don't we? And if we do, they're gonna have to support a capital reserve to put it in it.
Okay.
Make sense?
Sure does.
What if it's going to be, like if that 10,000 was going to be in the 2019 budget? Selectmen said, we're going to put it right in the budget. Would it necessarily, because it's capital and not operating, it has to go through a capital reserve fund approach?
You know, that's an interesting point, because we've gone back and forth on that. Like, what dollar amount do we put in here? And we've kind of said $10,000 or more. Now, you know, if somebody wants to buy windows and they're $600 a piece, and the total comes out to be, say, $12,000, we might just budget that. It might not even be in a capital reserve, but at least the selectmen would see it as
Okay.
request, and then
Yeah.
they could say, well, let's put it in the
Let's just put it
budget,
right in the budget.
or let's make it a capital
Yeah,
reserve.
okay, all right, it's
Okay?
their call.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay,
they
got it.
wouldn't make it a capital reserve if it was for the whole 12,000, because the idea would be to spend it, correct? But if it was a capital reserve, it would be that we can't put the whole 12, we're putting 8 in,
Yeah.
and we'll ask for 4 next
You
year.
got it.
Okay.
Yeah.
But having it on here is a good idea because then it's upfront.
I think this is great.
In fact, there's a list, I don't think we have it
Yeah.
on this one, of things, future things that will go on here eventually, or at least
Oh, I
remind.
can see this all
department
moving
heads that
around
they
and-
want it on
Yeah.
there.
So assuming the selectmen have this in time for their beginning of their budget,
Yeah.
then there shouldn't be anything coming from a department head on a capital request that isn't on this list.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
And if
That's-
it does, it doesn't get on here.
Yeah, that's the reason we're doing the timing we
Right.
are. is
Okay,
The three
got
of
it.
us are gonna visit with all the department heads, show them what they asked for last year. Is it still valid? What year do you think you want it? We're gonna revise this, and we're gonna have it ready for the selectmen when they start the budget process.
Right, okay, good.
Yes, I was just going to ask, as we go through these, write 5 columns, and there's repetitiveness. Does
Don't
that
waste
mean-
any time looking at it.
Does it mean that we've already committed that money? Or
You
does
know,
it mean that it'll be on March's ballot for
I've
that
been
year?
doing this kind of stuff my whole life, and let me tell you, if we can figure out what we're gonna do in the next 18 months, we're really, really,
Oh,
really
I see.
lucky. We're just filling up columns because it's supposed to be a 5-year plan.
Okay, so
It
it's not
doesn't mean-
necessarily already committed to,
No,
but that's
it's not.
what it's requested. We're hoping that the voters every
Yes.
March
Yes,
approves this amount
exactly.
for that purpose.
None of this is approved, this is all wish list. It's gotta get past the selectmen, it's gotta get past the budget committee,
And then the voters.
and then the voters. And if all of that works, we might say, we can't wait 2 years for it, we have to do it right now, and we put twice as much in as instead of spreading it over 5 years, we spread it over 2.
Okay.
But what this does, is it gives us visibility throughout the town as to what the department heads are gonna need to run their function.
This basically keeps the tax rate from spiking.
Yeah.
Correct.
And, you know, you're working with the
But
school,
like
you're
he
working
said,
with the town,
like-
to make sure
Correct.
that any big projects.
But like you
don't have
said,
two
that
at
if
the
you
same
come
time.
across a project,
Yeah.
let's just use I'm not gonna use any particular, but I'll say as a bridge.
Yeah.
A bridge would be something that have to be done this year.
Bingo, because it's red tape. and
It's
we
red
can't-
tape
yeah.
and you got no excuse, you have to fix it. So that's where that would become not a 5-year plan, it has to go into the warrant article, the budget.
Exactly.
And that wouldn't be in the green, it would be into the voters would put it into the red.
And it's gonna be things like that.
Yeah, oh yeah, and the bridges are one, that's
Yeah.
probably going to be one of them, because we have some red
You know,
flags.
the only thing nothing here is cast in concrete. What it does is it brings everything, some visibility, so people can look at it and talk about it and make a decision. Are we gonna budget it? Are we gonna put a cap reserve in? Are we gonna delay it till next year? But our goal is here is to the selectmen and the budget committee, find out what the town thinks they need to operate for the next year or two.
No,
That's
very,
cool.
very good.
We say the town, the selectmen, and,
It's everything and everybody.
right.
So on the last
Community,
page,
Joe.
the school.
Know what's that?
We're a
the school-
community.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I understand what we're looking at, and realize that all this is gonna change.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Constantly.
and we're not debating the numbers or anything.
No.
But where there was a warrant article in 2019, are these all warrant articles that were approved?
These, if you're looking
In the
at,
blue, or was that what was requested in?
when I did it, these were the warrant articles on the ballot,
Okay,
and I haven't updated it since then.
okay, so we don't know whether they were all
Yeah.
approved and.
Yeah, but they
some
were,
approved.
they
So
were
this is a
listed,
sample.
these were listed on the ballot. So,
Okay.
the capital reserves, of course, you know,
Yeah.
that's been approved and put money away. This was on the ballot for that year. And if it's been approved by the voters, it would, and if I did it today, it'd probably show up as black as a capital reserve with the money in it,
Okay, all right,
okay?
I got it, yep.
Okay, so how do we move on?
Well, first of all, I think we should talk about who's going to be chair, vice chair, and secretary.
Sure.
But we know the secretary.
Who's that?
Yeah, but I'm thinking that you might be a good position for that, huh?
I think we can make Howie chair and I'll be vice chair and you can be secretary. I don't take good notes. And you do.
Well, he's
I
going to be chair
understand.
of the...
No, just of our little committee.
Oh, of our
Yeah,
little
yeah,
committee, okay.
yeah.
I'd nominate Doug to be our chair for this capital improvement.
Yeah.
Oh, God, yes.
Oh, yes,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And so to me, that's literally just like the admin piece, scheduling the meetings, making sure that Kelly's aware,
Exactly.
understanding who exactly we need to send out. So we're gonna be sending out, or Kelly probably will, on our behalf, sending out requests to the department heads, hey, this is what we need you to do, these are the dates that we hope that you can do it by, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So,
That-
And I
was
keep
a second
using the
to my
same form as we've been using.
And I don't think that that's an asking thing, as in, that's a request
Okay,
that they
sure,
have to be
sure,
done.
sure.
Because if you're asking, then they may never get done.
There's
Okay.
a form, I think you guys
Now,
have seen these
is
forms.
there any part of this that's confusing that people don't, I'm trying to make,
No, it's very simple.
I'm trying to put everything on one sheet of paper.
Yes, and I'm not upset.
Is there any way, or is there any benefit to understand, like, what our department requested last year, thought they were gonna spend this year, and what did they spend?
Well, they're gonna, when we sit down with the department heads, we're gonna say, here's what you asked for last year, and here's how much money you wanted.
Yep, okay.
So they're gonna be reviewing this
Yeah.
before they give us this year's
Okay.
request.
And do you recall last year I did notes for each of the meetings we had, saying what, you know, they had discussed? I can update those notes, leave those notes, but update them to what they say this year. So you can do the comparison if you
Sure.
want.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I mean, I just wanna, I guess you just wanna make sure that they're requesting, you know, either enough, or either they're requesting too much or too little, right? And to make sure that they're being realistic about it.
I don't think that we can make that decision as in let
No,
them,
but-
and then you put it on there, then we can discuss if that seems to be the
Okay.
right
Yeah,
direction
fine.
that
Yeah,
we
that's
go,
fine.
Yeah.
because it's up to
The
us
CIP can
to push it forward.
prioritize.
It's up
Prioritize.
it's up to the
Exactly.
selectmen, and then they've gotta present it to the budget
Correct.
committee. So it's
Yeah.
gotta get through a couple authority groups here
Yeah.
before it's ever gonna,
Yep.
Hit the
Okay.
main force.
Okay,
So did I hear somebody nominate a vice chair?
yeah, somebody needs to second it.
Doug did.
I did a second it.
Oh,
I
come
can
on.
second
I'll
myself.
second
Come
it.
on.
I don't remember what it was. I don't
I'll
remember if it was
second-
Denny or Howie, but it was one or the other, right?
The planning board's
The mo-
designated you as
Yeah.
chair.
Correct.
yeah.
Correct. So are we, so as a committee,
I
are
don't
we
think-
now
I
gonna,
don't think it's that.
your motion was for
You
vote
me.
for
I
as
think
chair.
what you're saying is,
Or no,
planning board already did that?
The
It
planning
doesn't
board
matter.
designated you as a,
Okay.
as a
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah.
as long as it's
Fine.
CIP.
And the three of us have taken
We'll
care
do
of
our
our
own thing.
nominations pretty readily. so
And I
we'll-
think you were vice chair last year.
Yeah.
What's that?
We
Yeah,
decided
you
the
were.
planning board should be taking the.
Oh, okay, fine.
Okay.
I'll try to get to
Chair,
some of the
vice chair?
meetings
Yeah.
last year. I didn't get to any of them.
Chair and vice chair, and you guys get it done.
Okay.
You want me
We're
to?
gonna get it done. We're just gonna.
I'm gonna listen to it when you're all done.
You
That's
guys
about
are
it.
gonna be able to work with this?
So-
Oh, I think this is great.
Okay.
I'm good with it. I'll
So-
explain
so-
it. And
So.
So do you want me
for-
as secretary?
So for,
Yes.
can you,
Is everybody else?
Yep.
restate your motion
yes.
for myself as chair, Dick as vice chair?
Yeah, I would say that.
All right.
I'll
So,
I
second.
nominate Doug for chair and Dick for vice chair.
you
Second.
second?
And
All
she
right.
seconds it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3.
Opposed? And I'm gonna abstain.
I'll abstain.
Okay.
All right. Do we need to
You voted in
vote
favor.
a secretary and,
Yes.
or? All right.
0, 2.
I
Three
think
of
she's
us
just
will-
gonna do it.
We'll take care of ourselves here. Oh, I guess you'd have to nominate us again unless we can resign before.
No, it's a job for life. You don't get to resign.
You want the three of us to continue to do it?
Yes.
I would say so, yeah.
With, by consensus, I would think. right?
Okay. So should we
You
put
wanna
that-
make a
make that,
motion for
yeah,
that?
I'll make a motion. You're gonna be meeting with the department heads and keeping the records of what they've requested.
Yeah, like I said, this, every time I print it out, something's gonna change. Because it's a
So
living
it's-
document. There's never gonna be a
Denny
final.
and Howie and Priscilla.
Okay,
So is that a motion?
That's a second.
Yes.
And
Yep,
who's seconding?
second,
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Is that unanimous?
yes.
All right, do we have anything else?
You're the chair, you lead it.
So I will get in touch with Kelly. I will make sure that I have all the contact information for all the department heads.
Yep.
Do we have any timeframes that we want to shoot for?
Well, I guess I'm gonna ask, when you gonna be ready to sit down and start reviewing?
I thought we started in
budgets?
September.
That's what I thought too.
And so I
We were
think we
late
should
this
be
year.
ready before, well, if we say before September, that only gives us 2 weeks.
Right, yeah, that's
So
not
that's
So
not gonna
We
happen.
should probably shoot for the middle of September.
To at least have something ready
Yeah.
a new paper.
Yeah.
Okay. And I think as of, like, last year, the three of you and maybe whoever else was available
Right.
met with folks during the day,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
We set up some
Yeah.
times when
Yeah.
the department heads could come in and meet with you.
Yeah.
And so just to be clear, like, anyone on the committee is more than welcome to attend those. It just might not work out for people as far as their schedules, but,
And we're pretty flexible.
Yeah.
We can meet
Yeah.
just about, especially the people that are working for a living. I don't want them to come in after hours.
Right.
When we
Right.
come during the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're
Okay.
gonna need more than 15 minutes a department this year.
well,
As long as they're ahead.
After last year, it should go pretty fast
Exactly,
again this
because it's an
year.
update, basically.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, as long as you give them heads up, notice
Yep.
that they can start thinking of, like, tomorrow, or Monday, they should have a notice saying that this is required by maybe the end of August. And then sit with them, at least you'll have some kind of information to start
Yeah,
going.
yeah. So I'll talk to Kelly. I'll make sure that that seems reasonable, right? Like, I don't want her to push this request out and say, it's gotta be done in 2 weeks, and I don't know if that's reasonable or not. I'll let her make that call. But if we can start having those meetings with folks by the middle of September, I think that seems like a good plan.
And we'll figure out our own schedule between the three of us,
Okay.
and then
just
let Kelly know.
Procedurally, I got a question about
Sure.
the school board. So that seems like a very quick schedule if this is something that ends up at the school board itself.
Well,
I'm assuming these are,
The school, we're gonna do the school last.
okay.
So
All right.
they've
so-
got, they'll probably have the most time because we'll do them. Because I know
Does
they
that
got
go to
different
the selectmen?
time constraints.
Does that go to the selectmen?
No.
They don't vote on it? It's
No.
the school board itself?
Yeah.
Okay, fine.
Separate entities.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're already working on it.
Okay,
Oh,
excellent.
So we're already working
Excellent.
on it. It hasn't gone to the school board
Good.
yet, as
Good.
Ralph will tell you. So it still has to get to that point, but we've already had 2 meetings on it.
Okay, great,
Okay.
great. Does anyone else have anything that they want to add or any questions?
Our next meeting would be an hour before the second meeting for the planning board next month? Just like this month?
Yeah, I
Our
mean, I
next
don't know if
meeting would be
For the
the
CIP.
last week, the last Thursday of the month, right? Dick, is that
Second Thursday.
Second.
the second Thursday? That's this one. That's tonight.
So it would be the
Yeah,
first.
second Thursday.
So we got one,
What I'm trying to get to, it's easy for you
Well, see, I'm wondering
folks
if.
before the
is it-
planning board.
So do we as a committee need to meet before, say, the middle of September? If everything's going fine as far as the department heads working on getting the requests and the responses back, like, I'm not sure we really need to meet as a committee at that point.
no, because we have
Unless-
nothing to talk
Yeah,
about,
no,
because
right.
we don't have no
We
numbers
don't-
yet.
Until we have the rough draft done, or the draft done after we've met with everybody,
Yeah.
there's no sense in getting.
So maybe,
So
maybe the
planning
first.
board has to vote on this, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Yep.
if it's done by the middle of September, that would be the 14th or 15th, that's the end of the week, 14th.
Yeah.
We would meet on the 19th of September. That would be the first planning board meeting after this was completed. So that seems consistent with the
But does
time.
that, I don't know if that's gonna be too tight.
That sounds tight to me.
Yeah.
To me, I
If
think
it-
maybe the first meeting in October
October.
might be a good, we could schedule that and take a checkpoint. And hoping that it's done by then, but it might not be.
I
Well, I
think,
thought we
I
were
don't
trying to
see
get it
that,
done.
I can't see that this is gonna be too hard for them to do.
So, no, but someone goes on vacation, right? And something happens, I don't, I don't think it's fair.
So the first
to
planning
push.
board
Would you be ready
meeting,
for the 19th?
before the first planning board meeting of October?
I
Is
think
what you're
so,
saying?
yeah, that's what I
Everything
think that seems
for
reasonable.
I think that's
Estimates and stuff like
I
that.
think it'd be important.
Well, how do we get this
That
to
would be
the
October
select?
3rd.
Yeah,
October 3rd?
Goal.
yeah.
So October 3rd,
Is our first meeting?
Tell them-
Okay.
our next, is that next
Next
sense?
meeting.
Yes,
October
Tracy.
3rd.
We could have our presentation ready. I just did a consensus with Joe and Jerry. We could have our presentation ready by the 19th of September.
Okay,
So,
all right, great.
Let's,
I mean,
we
we
gotta
have
hear
to go
back
second?
from Kelly as to when she can schedule all of the
Sure.
department heads.
Yep.
Once we have that, we should be able to move
there's
ahead.
a rule.
Yep.
Speed on that.
So let's push for
We have
October
to meet with you
3rd.
guys
Faster
before
for
you
everybody
present
else.
anything to
Right.
the
No, we're ready.
The three of us would have to meet with you guys before you present anything to them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how do we get it to the,
We're favorable.
to the selectmen
Gotta finalize things with the board.
if we don't vote on it until October?
Well, we don't, we start the budget process, but it takes,
Okay, so
Two.
you wouldn't have this for your first meeting if you meet?
no,
Right.
and we,
Let's think about what you're voting on. You're kind of voting on the format and the presentation,
Right.
not on the dollar amounts or anything else.
Okay.
So what you're doing is voting and saying, I accept the way this is presented, I think you've done a good job, let's move ahead. But you can't vote it down, really, because it's up to the.
No, no, I
budget.
understand that. I'm just
So all you can
procedurally-
really do is vote on and say, I think they've done a good job, I think we can approve this, I think we should move ahead.
Yeah. that-
Or not.
Yeah,
push,
Yeah.
or change something.
yeah,
Push it
Change
forward
something.
or change it.
yeah.
Or recommend change.
Recommend change.
Last year you had it presented, you voted on it.
Yeah, no, I'm
Didn't
not
say
worried
you
about
got-
voting on it. This committee comes up with a thing, the planning board's gonna endorse it.
Well, you got two members
sure.
of the planning board
But
on the committee.
I just was trying to understand the schedule,
Gotcha.
when the
Yeah.
selectmen would actually have a document that says, okay, this is the final document.
Hopefully by October 3rd.
But they're gonna work
Right,
on.
well, that's fine, if
They're gonna
that
meet with
works.
department heads more than once too, the selectmen are.
Right.
Correct.
So as long as that works for the select board, that's
That
fine.
works for
October
us.
3rd is fine.
I would think.
And do you think, Charlie, that the selectmen will be reviewing hopeful warrant or capital reserve funding as well as the operating budget with each department
I
at the
would,
same
I
time?
would think so. I would think that this would first come under just to evaluate it and see if we think that it's approvable, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As if we want to spend $10,000 for the feasible study.
Right.
Then I would say we move it forward, such as what you're doing to us.
Yeah.
We move it forward to the budget. The budget probably is the final say. If they feel that, then they vote to push it forward to the vote, well, I say final say, but to the,
Voters.
before the voters get it. And most of the time, after all those sections, the voters are pretty trustworthy. You've gone through the process. And we're pretty frugal. So I don't see any big dramatic consequences. I just see that sometimes I may have some issues with the amounts that we may want to spend on things when I know a little different.
I think frugal's easier than futile.
Yeah. But, no, I think this is perfect for what I would want as a selectman.
Good. Well, thank you for putting this together.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
I like the color coding.
I think that's
Surely
great.
helps.
Have anything, any questions at all?
Yeah, well, actually, I got two that I'm thinking about. It more towards the school side of this. As a sitting committee of the school board, this meeting needs to be properly noticed. And this meeting tonight was not properly noticed, so
It was on the website. It's
not
been-
on the SAU website, because I checked.
So this isn't a school committee meeting.
But
So
they-
I'm not arguing, I'm just
No, I'm
thinking
just
through
saying,
it,
as
right?
far as, but the school board, the school should still notice the meeting because it is a sitting committee of the school board and you have two sitting school board members present. Although still, it's not a quorum, but this has been discussed in the past and it was always agreed, and I think someone actually called the DRA, that if you have a sitting committee of any board, even though it doesn't have a quorum, it should be properly noticed and this was not, this meeting tonight was not properly noticed on the school side. It was on the town side, so that being said. And then the other thing is, I also heard is that the school was gonna present tonight. Is that not going to happen? Is that
No,
what am I
not
understanding?
not that I understand.
All right, thank you.
So, I don't know, that's news to me.
We'll do it in the future.
We'll do it in the future.
That's
I'll look
fine.
into it. I will
That's
certainly
fine.
look into it if they
Yeah,
need to post.
We
okay.
didn't,
thank you.
last year you didn't ask, we didn't, you didn't ask us to, it wasn't necessary, but it'll be
It's
done.
okay, we make mistakes.
Yeah.
Well, I just want to point out the fact that I'm not on the CIP committee for the school, for the school district. I'm sitting here tonight actually as appointed here as a community member on the CIP. And that's what I believe I'm sitting here as right currently.
How many times has the committee only had one member on?
I don't know if there's another member for the CIP with the school district. I'm not aware of one. Well, I thought maybe Jen might have been.
I say move forward.
No, it was just a one member.
So,
It's really not hard, it's, you know,
Yeah,
it
so it
just
sounds
helps, it helps notify the
Fine.
public that there is a
Yeah.
meeting.
Yep.
And people would know, and if they're looking at the school website,
Sure.
when the school side of things might come up on a CIP,
Yeah,
if
okay.
it was properly noticed. I mean,
Okay.
it's just a good thing to do to
And we will.
notice that.
yep.
That's a
we
good
will-
idea,
we'll do
but
that.
he is a private citizen here, he's not on the CIP committee,
We didn't
so you
do-
don't
it
have
wasn't
two
done
members
last
on
year.
the CIP committee. But I think it's a good idea to post it. I
Although
totally
I
agree.
have to use one of your lines,
Oh,
because
boy.
you always say, you're always a school board member, so, and he's a sitting school board
Just having
member,
trouble.
so to use yours, Priscilla, he's a school board member sitting here tonight, not as a private citizen, Priscilla.
But you don't agree with that.
Publicly, I'm private, privately, I'm public.
Okay, moving forward.
So you guys done with me?
Take the high.
I think so.
I think so.
So, do we have a motion to adjourn?
I do, motion to adjourn.
All right. Anyone second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.